If we can get enough gentlemen like this in front of you, knowledge is power. It's going to change opinions, going to make you feel more comfortable, and it's going to point us in the direction of the things that we really need to be concerned in managing as we move forward, because we will eventually move forward. And part of the objective of the coalition, and the reason we formed 4 years ago, was that we would become a unified landowner group of Vestal. And that landowner group needed to be sure that we were going to basically have a very strong lease, which we have. It's taken us 3 years, almost 4 years now since we started, to continue to evolve a lease that's very landowner friendly. It's in addition to anything that the state and the EPA is going to require, and it will help to make sure that the landowners and the community are protected. In addition to that, we tried to educate ourselves as we traveled and got information, and we wanted to share as much of that with you as possible. Because if each of you could go home and share what you've learned tonight with 2 or 3 more people, I think we'll find that more people get to be comfortable with the fact that safe drilling is a reality and it can be done, and that the benefits are rather significant. Before we go on any further, I wanted to introduce some folks that we had in the audience tonight, and we're deeply indebted to the Joint Landowners Coalition that has formed back about 4 years ago also. And their objective was to make sure that the landowners of the region were going to be unified, and the Vestal Coalition is in fact one of about 40 or 42 coalitions now that are part of that. And with us tonight, and I'd like to have them stand up because they work endlessly, and nobody's on the gas company payrolls. This is all coming out of pocket. This is an enormous amount of personal dedication. And I'd like to have Dan Fitzsimmons, who's the president, to stand up. Vic Furman, Dan Chubb, and Susan Larson. These people work endlessly. Occasionally we ask you to donate. Perhaps you'll give that some additional consideration. In addition, we have with us tonight 2 of our town board members. We're pleased that they were able to come. And I'd like to introduce and have Patty Fitzsimmons stand up, or Fitzgerald stand up, and Dave Warnicki. Both Patty and Dave, as well as many of the other town board members, have been very active in trying to educate themselves, and I know personally they've gone to a number of meetings to try to get quality information. They travel to Pennsylvania, and they have in fact seen some of the reality of this. So that's terribly important that those people that will ultimately make decisions relative to town government regulatory possibilities will be doing it correctly. Mike Atchie's here. I don't know if Mike is here. Mike has worked very closely with us. He's with Chesapeake, and he's also presented and will be presenting in the future, but I wanted to recognize that he was also here. And then before we go to the question and answer, at this point we had asked, and she was going to come, County Executive Preston was going to be here tonight but had a personal conflict. So on her behalf, Lorraine Emmons is here. And Lorraine, I think, would like to express some of the opinions and thoughts of Debbie Preston.
Oh, I just have a quick message.
A quick message.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. I just wanted to compliment the Vestal Gas Coalition for providing this educational opportunity to the community. I also wanted to thank the presenters for sharing their knowledge with us. And I also wanted to bring you a message from the Broome County Executive, Debbie Preston, that she reaffirms her support of natural gas drilling.
Very good.
Okay, I think I'd like to open the floor up if each of you gentlemen would like to stand up, and then you can address your questions to whomever. I'll take the remote to the audience, so let's start on this side to start with, and then I'll move across. Any questions on this side?
Would you want to introduce Julie?
Julie Lewis just joined us. She was at another meeting, and I knew she was coming. Julie is actually a Broome County legislator, and she does, in fact, represent the part of the town of Vestal. And Julie has been very involved with gas. She was originally part of the Vestal Coalition before moving on to Broome County government, and has been very inspirational there in trying to educate the rest of the legislators, and has also been very involved with the Joint Landowners Coalition. So she's certainly an advocate for making sure that safe gas will happen in our community. Questions?
On the ad valorem tax, I'm very concerned. You give taxpayers a lot, or politicians a lot of money. They kind of spend it all, and I don't think there's any way in New York State to bankroll money for long-term growth. Is there? Or?
Not that I know of, but you'd be better off asking one of your politicians about that. But I don't think you can actually save money, because one of the things, rather than saving money, typically in the area, if you have extra money, you try to lower the people's taxes.
Yeah, but you're going to end up with a messed up cash flow.
Well, actually you're not, because one of the things you have to keep in mind is the way that the natural gas industry works. The natural gas industry produces a commodity, just like any commodity. I don't care whether it's corn or gasoline or wheat. If there's too much of it, they come back on a production. If there's not enough of it, they increase the production. Every natural gas well that'll be drilled any place in the world will start off with a high initial production, and it'll gradually taper off. When the gas production from a gas field starts to drop down, they put more wells in so that they can kind of keep the production at a level keel. That kind of keeps the whole tax base coming in at a level keel instead of spiking and going up and down.
I have a question for Dr. Bush or Mr. McClinko. I guess it's kind of a general question. Looking back, what would you say that you would do differently, or what would you do to prepare, if knowing now, if you knew then what you know now? I mean, what caught you by surprise? What would you say, geez, I wish we could do something differently?
Well, I think what I would recommend is exactly what's taking place here tonight. Everybody came to learn, to get information. Our biggest issue as we look back on it was we just weren't knowledgeable enough about the industry. The industry kind of came and blitzed us. We weren't aware of different things. For example, when I showed a slide of what we signed for, we should have held out for more money. But again, nobody knew, at least we didn't know, where the play was going, how long it would be, those kind of things. So the fact that you came tonight and you're listening and getting information, I couldn't say enough about doing that. The coalition, if you have some resources, as Doug said, go to Texas, go to where the plays are, and just become as knowledgeable as possible.
Pretty much echo that. It would be 4 years ago this August that we went to Wise County, Texas, the Barnett Shale, and we've got a great friend in Kevin Burns, who's a commissioner down there, and we just try to learn as much as we can exactly what he said. You guys are doing exactly right here. Learn, travel, and really, fortunately now you just got to travel a couple miles right over the border here, go to Susquehanna or Bradford County, and go knock on, that's what we did, go knock on doors. And I like to give what I call a pickup truck tour, which is we go out in the country and we just, whatever anybody wants to see, we go look at it and we learn. And every place we go tonight I learn, you always learn something. So it's just the best way to do is what you're doing right here.
What you're relaying about Bradford County sounds wonderful. I know everybody here is looking forward to that kind of prosperity in this area. My question is, with all the natural gas being produced in your area, what is being done in your area to make it available to the local businesses, homeowners, automotive use, and so forth?
Well, we do have some natural gas infrastructure down there. Excuse me. We have some boroughs that don't have it. Wyalusing Borough doesn't. We're going to be working to get it there. But one of the benefits that everybody receives right now is the price of natural gas through all the drilling that's happened right here in the Northeast. And when I became a commissioner, we used to worry about locking in the price of a decatherm. I think it was $16. We just signed here a couple weeks ago for $2.39. So we have that infrastructure, but everybody, all the taxpayers are winners at that point. But one of the things that we need to do is get more people using natural gas. We need to get this country back to work again. So they're burning natural gas and generators. Mills are working. Everybody's working, and we can start seeing drilling again and see that price bump back up. So I don't, that doesn't quite answer your question.
This is a question for one of the gentlemen from Pennsylvania, the ad valorem tax that the first gentleman talked about, do you have that in Pennsylvania? And if you don't, if you didn't have it, would that discourage the gas companies?
Well, I'll take that one first. And what we did was just an impact fee, which what happens is the more populated areas, you know, they're crying about impact. I will tell you in Bradford County, I would challenge anybody to come down and see any unmet impacts. Like talked about the roads, $400 million, and the different things all the natural gas company does. I believe in prosperity and growth through the good old-fashioned way, through the private sector and free enterprise, where you generate tax revenues that we're talking about here. When you look at the hundreds of millions of dollars we generated for the state of Pennsylvania and locally, you know, when you come down to Bradford County, take a drive through Wysox, you'll see a hotel that was built completely rented for 3 years. They had to build a modular hotel to get it built quick enough. You know, we've seen $35 million put on the assessed value of our county, and we've got so much more construction going on there. You know, everybody's wants to jump, and I'm not taking issue with any other states. You guys know what you're doing better than we do. But I don't believe in taxing something just because you can. I believe in harnessing up and getting the prosperity and doing it the good old-fashioned way. And we're seeing it in our county. Again, we haven't had to raise taxes in 8 years. We have 1,000 acres of property in our county. We leased it for $2,500. I wish we'd have held out for more, but you know what? It's the royalties that are going to win the day, and that money we can do some real good stuff for infrastructure that we talked about for our county. You know, the impact fee, which I disagreed with immensely, but we're going to get money back from that. One of the problems with that was they reached back 5 years, which was a whole other state issue, but in that 5 years we saw things from our operators who have been just, in my estimation, top-notch in our county. Very thankful for them. But we're getting back somewhere. Of course, Harrisburg can't tell us exactly how much, or they haven't written the law yet. They passed the Obamacare of natural gas taxing. But we're going to get back somewhere between $6 and $10 million, flip of the coin. But I'll tell you what we're going to do with it. Daryl Miller and myself, we're going to cut taxes. We're going to find a way to, you can't use that money to cut taxes. What you can do is take care of other things so you can cut taxes with it. So our county, we're pretty excited about maybe the opportunity to give that money back to the taxpayers themselves. But again, I will warn you, because I've been all over the place, when the price of natural gas and the glut's going on and the prices are low, where do you think they're going to crank the valves open at? High tax states or low tax states? John Kasich in Ohio, where a lot of our operators have gone because the wet gas is a lot more profitable right now, and they're drilling for oil because it's a secular industry, and it's also a very mobile industry. But he's under pressure to tax it. Go figure, our country's broke. You know, $15 trillion, and all we want to do is tax. The best thing that's going on in our country right now is the development of the United States natural energy, which incidentally, one on my soapbox here, is patriotic too, by the way.
Very good. I have a question for both of the gentlemen from PA. You're bringing a great message to a crowd that generally is probably pro-natural gas development as a land coalition. And my question is how can your message be brought and educate what appears to be a pretty significant wave in our area of anti-gas development people? And I'll give you one example locally that the level of misinformation possibly Julie Lewis could comment on, but I had a very disappointing experience going to the debate that was held at Binghamton University. I had a lot of respect for the university, and then to sit there and listen to an economics professor at a university debate what I thought was a pretty accepted issue, that there is some economic benefits from what's going on in PA. He actually made the statement that for every, I think it was 100 wells, he said, that get drilled in PA, it may have been 1,000 wells, that the unemployment rate actually goes up 1% in PA. And just such misinformation, just clueless knowledge of what's really going on. And you guys are on the, you know, you're there. You're bringing the message of what's really happening. So my question is how do you educate not this group, but the other group?
Well, I think the answer to that is to get out and get the information out. And everybody that's here tonight, even though it's kind of preaching to the choir, the information that you learn, you know, share it. Word of mouth, the best advertising is word of mouth. So everybody you come into contact with, you know, strike up a conversation, talk to them. For whatever reason, the divisiveness of this issue, if you're opposed to it, you're adamantly opposed to it. And I don't know if you're ever going to change anybody's mind that's in that camp, but certainly the more knowledgeable that people are about something, I think that's how you start to change that. But it's a difficult thing.
Well, being an elected official, I'll tell you what makes me mad, are, all elected officials, and God bless your county executive for standing up and saying she supports natural gas. We need more people like her. We need more people that are elected to put on their big boy and big girl pants and go out there. They campaign on jobs and growth and saving the family farms. And this is a stump speech for anybody that is a job creator is the development of natural gas. Elected people need to stand up and tell the truth about the prosperity and growth instead of being afraid of the vocal minority of a lot of these people. Because I still ask, what else is there in our country right now? I probably mentioned it before, we've seen the welfare cash assistance in our county go down. The proof's in the pudding, and more power to your boss.
Thank you.
This question's for you. You put on this meeting and I think you advertised it open to the public for people to come here and get the knowledge. Before I say what I want to say, I don't think the state of New York should put the pressure on town boards that's being put on them. I talked with a friend of mine on the way here tonight. We think it was unjust for the state to put whether or not a town can put a moratorium in place or not. It should, because now they're getting it from both sides, and it's 5 people in the town board who have no education in the gas and oil field, except for what we've learned in the last 4 years. Now, I asked you if you made this meeting open for the public. I know there's 2 town board members here tonight, but I'd like to ask, is there anybody here from VERS? Is there anybody here from NIRAD? Okay, we have 2 people here from VERS and NIRAD. I applaud that. I've been to many meetings and I've not gotten a chance to speak. You're always welcome to speak here and ask questions. And I think it's great that 2 people showed up, but the pressure that's being put on in Vestal, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I think Vestal Town Board really needs a hand for handling it the way they're handling it. They're giving the education that they need to it. And we need to do more of that across the county.
The Vestal Coalition, before I get to further questions, to kind of follow up on what Vic was saying, there's been some, I'd use the word controversy or difference of opinion at town board meetings, and there is a bit of a separation of emotion, and I guess I can understand that, and we, the coalition, decided we would take the high road, that we wouldn't get into name calling, that we wouldn't get into mudslinging, that we would try to state a facts, that we would try to stay out of emotion when occasionally it's difficult. But we extended an olive branch to the Versa group to come tonight, and I personally invited them, and what I was told was, it'll only be lies, then why should we come? And that's kind of sad, because I've been to a number of theirs, and a number of things that have been presented there, we've actually incorporated into our lease as concerns. So there's value to be had from both sides, and if we're ever going to mend, we've got to get our head out of the sand, realize that there is a middle ground, and find it.
I have a question about the unit production value. The state has not established that yet, right?
No, they have for the Marcellus?
Yes.
No, the state has a unit production value established for most formations, and then they have one other value that's called other.
And that the value gets established based on the price of gas at the time is a factor in your formula, right?
That's correct.
So with $2, the current price, why do you think that the unit production value will be sufficient to offset the expensive drilling?
Why I think the unit production value is, according to the people at the New York State Office of Real Property Taxation Services, they're not going to start off with a $2 value. If they started drilling natural gas wells here in New York State next year, they'd have to come in with some sort of a formula that picks up the previous years where the gas prices were higher. And then what will happen is, and as it always happens, is that we'll have some of these years that are in the other category, that will be incorporated in the first unit of production values from Marcellus, and then they'll move on from there. But I don't actually think that natural gas is going to stay at $2.60. It's going to do like it always does. It's going to go up and down. So you still need the 5 years worth of data. So they're going to have to pick up the first 4 years from someplace else.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? We're a little ahead of schedule, and I think we've got another area of expertise in the room that we should take advantage of as long as we're ahead. The young men who are running Crosshairs Consulting, who had a booth out in our lobby, Jared Giles.
This is Chris Musser.
I'm sorry, Chris Musser will give us an overview. We got some extra time. So again, we want to appreciate our guest speakers, and I think they deserve a big round of applause.